Okay, Lauren. So this is your feedback on your IA. First thing to note is that this does need changing in line with what Ms. Stechuk said the other Friday. So you need to include that it's a comparative analysis of Bangna and Hong Kong, and include the areas of sustainability we're looking at. A photo would be nice for a front cover. Right, we've got the page numbers there. Content's starting to take shape. Does need to be completed once the work is finished. Okay. If they can go in the bibliography, figure numbers can go in the bibliography. Okay, introduction. Yeah, that needs changing in line with what I just said. Okay, so these need to be made bigger. Good, we've got the scales in there, but it's very difficult to see the map. So to make sure you enlarge the map, and you've got all this space here. Yep, drag it. Drag the thing as a whole though, so you keep the scales the same. The scales don't get adjusted on each map. Okay, that's nice. So you put that in. Do have you made reference to the population density? Yeah, I mean you put that in there, but do had a note about the population density, how it varies in the two areas. Okay, nice. Okay, and add a sort of like add something to show where that is. I mean, is that okay? So that is just trying to think here what we're looking at. Yeah, again, needs to be made bigger. You need to show where these locations are in relation to each other, whether that's using arrows or circles on the map or whatever you decide to do. Okay, so remember with sustainability, what areas of sustainability are we looking at? We're looking at packaging, are we looking at production of food, how the, how the food is processed? Okay, syllabus. I think you need a bit more theory in there. A bit more detail about resource stewardship and circular economy, and some diagrams in there as well to show, to illustrate those concepts, those theories. Leave a space hypothesis. Leave a space between like hypotheses and hypothesis one. I've got figure numbers in there, haven't we? Can't see the figure numbers there. Figure numbers need to be in. Yeah, we got figure two there. Oh, I see. It's there. It just needs to be. Maybe it's when you. Oh, no, you haven't got a PDF. Just make sure it's next to the actual maps when you tidy it up. Okay. Yeah, the justification is too short. So you got your hypothesis. You then need to sort of let's say, okay, well, why? Why is this the case? Why do you expect Prompong to have more sustainable food options? Is it because it's a more higher density populated area? There are more food retail outlets. The people generally have a higher income because it's more expensive to live in the CBD. As a place is more accessible, they benefit from passing trade and therefore are more likely to sell more products. People have a higher education in those areas and therefore are more aware of sustainable food options, and then compare that to Bangna. And then this one here, so what's the hypothesis here? I don't know. Yeah, the hypothesis needs stating. So when you have a hypothesis, you state this as a statement what the hypothesis is. Maybe put it in italics, and the same for this one as well. The hypothesis is a statement, it's prediction based on geographical theory, and then you write the justification of the hypothesis, which I've just been telling you about for this one here. Yeah, so we do need clear hypotheses. Yeah, this is very neat. Yeah. And then just make sure you don't miss out that the color code them on the map. Maybe make this a little bit bigger. So you investigate, you've used systematic sampling. Why did you use systematic sampling? That needs to go in there as well. It's quick, efficient, it reduces human bias. This one here. So ideally, what you would do with this is that is that a completed version? Because ideally what you do is you take a photograph of one that you've actually completed out in the field, because it's a methodology, so you're showing how you collected that data. What's systematic sampling? Yeah, what is it? What is the systematic sampling? Is it one every 3? Is it one every 5? And again, why was systematic sampling used? Print it, observe, walk along, the study area, observe, analyze the restaurant, visually analyze the restaurant as a group, record the data on the bipolar survey. So don't make sure that no areas are missed out. As I said before, a good methodology is one where you can just give it to another student and they can follow your instructions exactly. What's this here? Okay, look, you have to talk to me about this bit here. Why was the questionnaire important? Why was that data important? How were the sites collected? And you've got the questions here, again, very small, needs to be bigger. The examiner needs to be able to see this. And it's a bit scrunched up, it's a bit difficult for me to see this. Yeah, and then, of course, conduct the interview and record the data, record the answers. Yeah, I like what you've done here. I just think you need to link it together, make it very clear. If you're unsure, ask me when I get back from Hua Hin. Yeah, okay. Just need to make sure it flows so it's clear why that's there. And again, this is actual data which you have presented. A photograph is a form of data. So it's the collection sheet which is important, or a photograph of you collecting the data with your data collection sheet is important. Okay, why it's important. And again, very small. Yeah, again, this is presentation of data, not methods. So methods is how you collected the data. And you need to be very consistent in the way you do this. So you're using numbers. Oops, what's happening? You're using numbers because it's like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. The advantage and disadvantages. What's this here? Fishing. Okay, that's for systematic, is it? Yeah, it's just There's a lot of the stuff is all there. It's just the way that it's organized and structured. And basically, when you do this, you need to have arrows around the photograph. Remembering that if you use 10 words or more, all 10 words count in the study. Okay, maybe you need to see me about this method. Explain to me why you've done it in this particular way, and then we can maybe just rejuggle it a little bit so it just flows. Just remember, in one, the method says describe how the data was collected. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. A justification. Why was this data essential to test a hypothesis? Which hypothesis was it testing? And if there was any sampling techniques used, why justify why that sampling technique was used. Okay, I'm going to skip to the data presentation trick analysis. Maybe repeat the hypothesis here. So is that your color there? It's hard for me to tell. So maybe add some arrows around here to show. I think we've got there. I mean, yeah. I mean, why is cafes up there bigger? So you got key. This space here. Don't put cafes there. Make all these the same size. Presentations like really important, and because it's some of these are quite small, so just add arrows around there. I mean, a nice technique is actually if you've taken a photo, you can actually put an arrow around the map to show a photograph of the outlet, and you're also illustrating what you've done in terms of creation of the map, because obviously there's a lot of other it's information on the map with food outlets which can make it a little bit confusing. Okay, again, it's a bit small, needs to be made bigger. And all the scales need to be the same. I don't think they are. So if you have a look at the gaps between the lines, see there, the gaps between the lines are bigger, they're smaller there. The gaps between the lines need to be exactly the same, because otherwise you can't just look at it and make the comparisons there. So do make sure that these radar graphs are exactly the same scale. And it all looks very nice, but it just needs making a little bit bigger as well so we can read it carefully. And what we've got there is we've got you see, when you're writing an analysis for geography, the best way to do it is you present a graph, whether it's a map or whatever, it's still present the data rather, whether that's a map with, whatever arrows around it with photos, or it's, the graph spatially presented around the map. Then you add some analysis about what that shows. So what an examiner doesn't want to see is a load of graphs and then a written analysis afterwards. They want it all integrated in so it's easy to follow. Okay. Yes, some description of this data is required. Yeah, remember all of these words count. Using quite a lot of words there. So do check that. You do need to include these. A text box only 10 words or less doesn't count. Yeah, this okay. We need a bit of rejuggling. You need to go through this and make sure it's all clear. The analysis does need a bit of work. So, like I said, we need a description of what this is, what this data is showing. We need more explanation. We also need to refer to anomalies in there. So the things like Sloan's was an anomaly in Bang Na. Why was it an anomaly? Okay, explain that. I mean, he doesn't benefit from a lot of passing trade. He set up that shop as a business where potential customers can come see what his business looks like, and then hopefully get more business from that. So it's not really he could have located that anywhere. So he's not really located it there because because of a huge customer base in Bangor only. Of course, he's getting customers from the school and local ties and things like that. But it is an anomaly. You need to explain that. So more explanation of the data. You've got education years, okay, and make this graph bigger. It's Arial font 12, double line spacings is required for this. It looks like you used 11 there. Okay. It can't difficult to read that. Okay, a little bit blurred. Yeah, so say put the figure in there for it, put the number, what the number would have been at the 5% significant level, and what your number is, and therefore why you reject the hypothesis. And then, I mean, essentially that table should come first, and then the calculation should come afterwards. Okay, lovely calculation there, but you do need that after the table. Okay, and then we need explanation of that data. It looks like you've sort of like ran out of steam a little bit there. You need to explain why there is no correlation. Just think about things like, well, why if you got low number of years in education purchasing more sustainable food, why could that be? Is it because they think the food is come from a sustainable source, but it actually isn't, and they buy it from a market and assuming that's completely sustainable? Or maybe the market does have some aspects of sustainability, such as the lack of packaging, or maybe putting like apples and that or whatever in paper, and try and explain why the high income groups are not purchasing as many sustainable meals. Is that because, you know, um, whatever reason you think, really, you're just inferring, you're trying to offer plausible explanations. Why? Because they know that actually there are fully few restaurants which are fully sustainable in the production and the packaging and the delivery of that food. So offer more explanations for this. Okay, so a bit of juggling around. Make sure it's all neat. Make sure it's all clear. Do look at that methodology, and then put your conclusion, your evaluation in, and then we can look at it again once it's all finished.